Good evening and welcome to the Citizens Forum. It is July 5th, 2022. It is 7:45 p.m. We do have some people signed up to speak tonight, so when you come up to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. You will be given 3 minutes to speak. Once you hear the alarm go off, then your time is up and we will move on to the next person. First up, we have Elizabeth Hale.
My name is Elizabeth Hale, address 103 Baseball Cove in Laverne. I am here tonight to advocate on behalf of the Strikers and most importantly, the children it serves. This was my first year coaching and third year overall involved in the Strikers. My nephew Gabriel has played since he was 5. There's nothing he loves more. I will admit the first 2 years in the league had some struggles, but words could not describe how this last season has been. Felicia has done a phenomenal job at turning this league around. This is the team that I helped coach, the Giants, 10 boys. Most of them had never played before. We, the coaches, spent 2 days a week for weeks teaching them the game, building their confidence. Our season started off slow, few hits, lots of missed balls, maybe a point or two scored. By the end of the season, we were hitting home runs. One first-year player got a grand slam in the championship game. But most importantly, we saw their confidence go from, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, to, I was born for this. Even when they would make errors, it'd be, that's all right, I'll get it next time. They would sit with their teammates and talk about what professional teams they'll play on as adults. A dream they may never get, but a dream they deserve to have. And I love that they have that confidence. That confidence is so difficult to build, yet so easy to crush. My fear is that if this league is dissolved, that is what we'll do. They will hear that they are not good enough. They will hear that their community does not believe in them, does not value them, and does not have the time to give to them. Sorry, speaking in front of people is nerve-wracking to me. We teach our children to work together as a team to solve a problem. And I can admit that we've had a problem on the Strikers, but we are working to correct those problems. We are under new leadership with Felicia. We have most recently created a board that will fight to make sure that the problems of the past are not of the present. We are asking you tonight for the opportunity to continue the work we have started. We need to show our children that the community believes in them, supports them, and values them. To do this, we need your approval and willingness to work with us, because our children are worth that, because they are our future. Thank you.
Next person we have is Christina Farrell.
My name is Christina Farrell. My address is 1455 Las Casas Pike, Murfreesboro. And yes, I drive out to Murfreesboro to be part of the Tennessee Strikers every week, and I will do it all over again. I come at you tonight in support of the Strikers. I actually have 3 point of views that I'd like to kind of reference to you guys. One is a parent. I have a child that has a disability that was on the championship team this last season. He's completely come out of his shell. And honestly, the Tennessee Strikers, the price point for them has been something that as a single mom I can do. I can't go to Murfreesboro and I can't go to Smyrna because I can't afford it. And I don't want to lose the baseball for him. I'm sorry, that really hurts. But he's got new friends. He is so excited to go to baseball. He wants to learn, he wants to practice, and we're talking about a kid that doesn't want to do anything but sit at home. He doesn't have friends at school. Baseball brought it out of him. And having the weekdays I know, because that was a topic that was hit on last week. Having the weekdays has actually worked for me because I work 12-hour shifts. I'm a medical assistant in a walk-in clinic. I don't get days off. So having the weekdays, the nights, I'm able to come in and I'm able to watch. It leads to my next point of view. I was able to coach. I was a team mom. Actually got a plaque from my team because I helped out so much. And all of his teammates, I watched all of them grow. Kids that he would never meet if it weren't for the baseball. And that just is something that sits so high with me. I personally have made new friends. I've got new lifelong friends that I didn't think I'd have, and I'm 30. So it's not something that I boast about often, but I have found some really good people that I work with. I also come to you as the concession stand coordinator. Yes, there have been some hiccups. It is something that I am well aware. I am teaching my girls that work the concession stands. We're hosting, once this permits and it goes through, because I'm going to speak it into existence, we're going to have another season. Once it goes through, I'm having workshops for my girls. My girls are 15. They've never had a job before. And they love coming to work with me. They love learning new things. They're willing to come and put the time in and the effort in to learn how to do it properly. I have a culinary background. I know what the health department needs, and I know what OSHA, and I'm looking into those standards to make sure that we hold those standards high, even in a concession stand, because I care about the people that we serve. I've met a lot of wonderful people working through the concession stand. Honestly, this season's probably been one of the better seasons that I've ever seen, especially coming right out of a pandemic. I mean, we've been out of COVID for what, a year? And we still have strains of it going around, and people are still kind of nervous and everything. So to see what the Strikers have done, and this being my first season, is absolutely wonderful. So thank you for your time.
We have Emily Hale.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Hale. I am a resident of Nashville. I live at 277 Bell Road, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Strikers tonight. At last week's meeting, you were all given a packet comprised of emails and photos, and judging by the looks on your faces, most of you might have made up your minds about the future of this league. However, if you will permit me, I'd like to shed some light on a few things. 3 years ago, I signed my nephew Gabriel up to play baseball. With the Strikers. My first couple of years with the Strikers, I'll be honest, were hit or miss. With that being said, ultimately, my sisters and I decided to take a season off and consider other options after our last experience. Until the day I received an email that said that the Strikers were under new management. After much discussion, we decided to give it another go. Since making that decision, I have not been disappointed. Unlike the previous management, Felicia has made herself available at every turn, always available to answer questions or cheer on the players. She has made every effort to turn the league around and for the better. Sorry, nerves, a lot of coffee today. I fully believe that if given the opportunity, she will continue to grow the league and improve the community. But I'm not the one who needs to believe in that. It is the members of this council who need to believe in that. In one season, we went from having barely enough players to field 2 teams to having over 200 players sign up for spring ball. This past season was my nephew's best season so far. He has already signed up for fall ball. During this season, I have seen him not only grow in his skill, but also in his self-confidence. But his teammate, in addition to his teammates, that I also had the privilege of coaching. I watched a first-time ball player get his first home run. I watched another get a grand slam. The players that we have in this league are not only the children that you serve, but they come from all over. They come from Murfreesboro, Nolensville, and Nashville. At the last meeting, a comment was made that the players in our rec league are not good enough to move up to the next level. I wholeheartedly disagree. After all, an expert in anything was once a beginner. The boys and girls in our league have worked hard and have the right to play baseball in their community. The coaching staffs that have volunteered countless hours deserve to see their players reach their goals. The newly formed board deserves the chance to see the league grow and prosper from their hard work. And lastly, the community deserves to have a rec league that puts their players before the scoreboard or the almighty dollar, where children are given the opportunity to play regardless of their skill level. Baseball is and has been an American tradition and pastime where at any given moment, an average Joe becomes a hero. When I watch these boys and girls play the game, that they are not focused on social media, they're not focused on their cell phones, and they're not focused on video games. They're simply loving the game. Please consider keeping this league. Our children need it.
Thank you. Next, we have Michael Davis.
I don't wish to speak at this time.
Thank you. Next, we have, and forgive me for my mispronunciation here, I think it's Laverne.
Good evening. As I said, my name is Laverne Hale, and I have been at one point where you sit, where you get to make decisions for the community. I'm coming to you tonight as a grandparent, as a visitor to the games every week. I'm coming to you as somebody who is a community activist, who has spent the better part of the last 30 years of my life working to build stronger communities. I live in Nashville at 277 Bell Road, and your league is the closest league to my home that my grandchildren can play at. It's the only league in the area that my grandkids can get to come to. It is vital for them. After having schooled my children, my grandkids in the pandemic, where they got to stay at home and look at things on a video screen day in and day out, finally getting to come out and play ball, I watched my children grow. They developed skills emotionally. They learned how to channel their emotions to better outcomes. They learned to work together as a team to achieve goals. I watched these kids develop a love of the game and a love of the people that they were with. That is so important for developing community. Your wall back here says that you honor your past and you're building for your future. These kids, all of them, whether they live directly in Laverne or in neighboring communities, are the future of your community and mine. I beg you to please understand, yes, the Strikers had some issues, and I will agree the first 2 years my kids played, I was not overjoyed. This last season, I watched a complete 100% turnaround. The effort was palpable. Parents noticed. I now have 2 more of my grandkids that want to play ball this coming season. That hadn't happened before. You have an opportunity before you to lead by example, to show these kids that they matter, that you believe in second chances, because we all tell our kids second chances are important. You have the opportunity to give the Strikers a second chance. And by doing so, you give your community and all of the children in it the opportunity to be a part of something bigger than themselves and to learn what it is to be a part of a community. I sincerely hope you will take that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have David Rainwater.
David Rainwater, 416 Lake Forest Drive, Laverne. Greetings. I hope everyone had a safe, fun, and happy Independence Day. Recently, I had reason to request and review video footage from a traffic stop involving one of my family members. Thank you to Juliet and Tanya, who is not here, for the courteous and professional handling of my public records requests, and thank you to Chief Davis for taking time to speak to me about the footage. The footage I was provided was what I would consider to be beyond poor in quality, with frequent image freezes, poor resolution, and unexpected gaps in the audio. Furthermore, the footage was only from the perspective of the police vehicles. And speaking with Chief Davis, I was dismayed to learn that the Laverne Police Department has not been equipped with body-worn cameras, which I had expected had become the norm, if not the baseline for policing in our country. Our systems are only as good as the tools we use to operate them. The Laverne Police Department is well known throughout Middle Tennessee for their vigilance. However, we have not equipped them with the tools that they need to collect reliable and undeniable evidence in the course of their duties. It's 2022. I would wager that over 90% of the people in this room own a smartphone equipped with cameras that are more powerful than any of us could have imagined even a few short years ago. And these prolific devices make the general public better equipped to document evidence than our officers currently are. It's been said that a picture is worth 1,000 words, but I would expand upon that and say that an HD video recording at 60 frames per second is worth 1 billion, if not more. To err is human. Our great nation was forged by and is facilitated by humans. Our founders knew what they were creating was not perfect. To quote the preamble to the Constitution, we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, we always have room for improvement. And that is certainly true of our city and our police department and its equipment. A camera cannot lie, a camera does not forget, and a camera does not have bias. Modern cameras, and especially body-worn cameras, are the ultimate tool for justice and transparency. Chief Davis informed me that though acquiring body-worn cameras for our officers is on the horizon, it would be not until at least next year that they would be introduced into the budget. I'm here to say that that day cannot come soon enough and should be expedited in every way possible. We, the people of the city of Laverne and the officers of the Laverne Police Department, deserve all the benefits that modern cameras afford today. There is no reason why such vital tools cannot be made a priority and implemented as soon as possible. It is my hope that our city leaders will make this a priority and take any and all opportunities to give the people of this city and our officers what they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ferran Ferdowski. I believe he may have left the building. Not seeing him, we are going to move on to Felicia Mays. Okay. Well, that will then close out the Citizens Forum, and we will go straight into the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting. We do have a quorum, and the prayer tonight will be with Pastor Randy Berg. The Pledge of Allegiance was supposed to be with Alderman Waldron. Not seeing him. Alderwoman Honeycutt, would you lead that for us?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. If everyone please stand for the prayer and the pledge.
Good evening, everyone. Please join me in a prayer tonight. Dear God in heaven, we approach you right now by faith, and we are in awe of your power, your creativity, and the provision of all your resources to help us live. You've promised us that if two or more shall agree on earth as touching a thing, you would grant us favor. We are greatly encouraged by that promise. And in the midst of these present times, in fact at all times, we need your counsel to our spirits. We need you to help us advance while also discerning hazards, to help us make the best decisions possible. And we truly want to positively impact the lives of our fellow citizens and to bless our city of Laverne long term. God, you behold all of our thoughts and actions every day. As your word says, your eyes run to and fro throughout the earth to show yourself strong on behalf of those whose hearts are inclined toward you. So then, may we choose to incline our hearts and minds to you, knowing that you alone can see everything that's to come. We need your supernatural wisdom that sees all the way from the beginning to the end of a thing, so that you can help us foresee all the needed developments for our precious community to thrive. I now pray for your amazing provisions of grace upon these public servants. May they know the joy of creativity, unity, and greater accomplishments as they serve us and you. And may you receive praise from them for these blessings upon their labors. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the June 7th, 2022 public hearing and regular meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Alderman Coates. Is there a second?
I second.
Second from Alderwoman Honeycutt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. moving on to presentations. So each year, we present and award a Citizen of the Year. And this year, I want to go ahead and bring that person up. So Aubrey Jackson, if you could please join me. So for those of y'all who may not know Mr. Jackson, he's a longtime resident of Laverne, and for years and years now, he has been organizing basically food giveaways through the parking lot at Laverne Church of Christ. And at this point, he has impacted, I believe it was close to 11,000, or was it just over 11,000 home or families?
Can I speak just a little bit?
Absolutely.
Twice a year, we have, in cooperation with the Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee, we have what are called mobile food pantries on our campus at Laverne Church of Christ, whereby we give out a whole trailer load, a tractor trailer load of food. Mr. Mayor has been up there the last time and witnessed the wonderful amount that we have and are given the opportunity and privilege to give out. And then also we have a food pantry on Monday morning where we give out food just pretty much just non-perishables. We just had our 11th. We do one every spring and every fall. We just had our 11th, and over a period of over this last 6 years, starting on 6 years, with those mobile food pantries and our Monday morning pantry, we have, I think it's very safe to say, we have fed over 10,000 people of the Laverne community and the surrounding area. This award is a surprise to me because I feel like I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's, of course, there's no possible way that I can hand out a tractor trailer load of food. The credit does not go to me. It goes to our congregation at Laverne Church of Christ in our willingness to help, aid, support, feed, and clothe the members of our community, and at the same time doing our very best to spread the word of God to everyone who will listen, and sometimes people who won't listen. But thank you very much, and it's not me, it's the congregation, I promise.
Well, this year, we're declaring that you are Citizen of the Year for always finding ways to give back to our community and serving through Laverne Church of Christ. Also for years of benevolent service, bringing free food options to the community, as well as working with Second Harvest Food Bank to schedule nearly a dozen mobile food pantry visits, serving thousands of people. Citizens like you have a big impact on our city. So I want to present you this, as well as the key to the city and challenge coin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, Mr. Jackson. Picture real quick. She wants to get a photo. Moving on to our departmental reports. Chief Davis for the Police Department.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman,
I provided you with the crime summary for the month of June, highlights of the month. Like you see, our stats are pretty steady across the month. I do want to emphasize that we had 21 cases of motor vehicles being broken into, and 20 of those 21 vehicles were left unlocked. And as a result, 4 firearms were stolen out of cars in the hands of criminals. There's one other stat on this slide that I want to point out. Because of the vigilance of the officers and their hard work, 3 arrests have been made associated with some of these vehicles that's been broken into. The big news media that we got on one that had the stolen car, that had the vehicle and the guns and everything inside of it. Also, I do want to point out there's another slide here in LPD activity for the month of June. As you can see, even though we're not at full capacity with officers, these guys and men and women are out. They're doing an excellent job out there. 176 arrests was made in the month of June, 685 traffic stops, 11 DUI arrests, and 48 drug violations arrests. So these guys are really working, guys and gals are really working hard out there for us. Also, our Blue Sentinel activity, you all have that. It's not as complete as it normally would be because of some software issues with, not with the system itself, but on the reporting side of it. But as you can see, 6 stolen vehicles were hit, 8 stolen plates, and 2 missing vehicles. So we're moving right along, and with the new budget being in place, we did get granted 10 new cameras that'll go on another side of the city. So we're looking forward to that. Any questions?
Chief, I think the big testament to the Blue Sentinel program, even if you're looking at just the month of June, is we have 2 missing persons that were found.
Absolutely.
As a result. That's
Yes,
huge.
We've been consistently finding missing people every month with this system, which is a great tool. I know there's a big misconception out there about that, but it's helped our policing tremendously in the department. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the fire department, Deputy Chief Matthews.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman. For the month of June, it's pretty much the same for every month. You can just change the date on these. We're a cookie cutter from last year, almost exactly. The good thing is the grass fires were down. We were kind of scared about that. We had a few, but not like other areas around here, to be honest.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Cool, thank you.
Parks and Recreation, Mr. David McGowan.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board, thank you. You have the parks numbers for the month. You can see our total help desk tickets, 75, 560 man hours devoted to those. A lot of those were to the projects, demo in the Civic Building on Old Nashville Highway. Another project's dog park. They were out today delivering the fence, so his time frame is within 3 weeks, they think, depending on how much rock they hit there. After that, our crews will come in, fill in some low spots with dirt and overseed it with grass, try to get that growing. So we're kind of looking maybe mid-August right now as an opening for that. See some of our past events. June the 11th was our first Touch a Truck. We gave over 250 hats and vests out in less than an hour. 500 hot dogs were gone in an hour and a half. July 4th yesterday was our Independence Day celebration. Definitely want to thank Amy Brown and Phoenix Rising. They put on a great show. Upcoming events, August 19th. I don't think this one is in your packet. How at the Moon, 32 registered so far. That should start at 8 o'clock, I believe, that night. You see past senior events, June the 7th, the Joe Pfeiffer Entertainment. June 27th, trip to Karen's Custard. June 30th, outside game night. Upcoming events at the senior center, trip to Highway 55 on July 13th. July 20th is Christmas in July. Upcoming meetings, July 18th, senior center advisory at 4 o'clock. That time, that day has changed to coincide with the Park and Rec days. And that meeting is July 18th at 6. And then July 18th, we also added a historical preservation meeting that night at 7. I would like to give a shout out to the Parks crew. You guys that come to events may see them guys, but not know their names. Yesterday morning, we had Brandon James, Justin Gosnell, and Sabrina Oakley came in early to shut down the park, put up the temporary fencing. Randy Frost came in about 12 to make sure the electric was hot for the stage. Then Andrew and his guys came in to do the rest of the prep. Andrew Stoffel, John Ballard, John Trent, Austin Jones, and Nathan Winters, and then Kathy Melindy and Sheila Matters. We definitely want to notice those people. Any questions?
David, these aren't two questions, but number one, touch truck event. So many families and children had such a great time. Besides the fact of just Danny showing up to get his own vest again, I mean, it was a great time. So many kids there. They loved the horns. They kept firing those horns, and then when the helicopter both landed and took off, everybody was in awe of that. So absolutely good job on that for you and your staff. And then last night with Independence Day, that was a phenomenal event that you and your team put together.
Sir.
And so it was amazing, and so many people had a good time. I even saw people out doing cartwheels in the front of the stage, so it was awesome.
On the touch truck, that was Andrew's brainchild. We pulled it off. We weren't really sure what kind of turnout we would have with it being our first event, but it was an amazing crowd. I think we were one kid's vest short, so we blame that on Danny. Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Finance Department, Ms. Phyllis Rogers.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman. Tonight's report is for our fiscal year up through the end of May. For our general fund, our revenues have exceeded expenditures by approximately $6.9 million. In our local sales tax, we've collected about $3.9 million better than what we budgeted at this time of the year, and about $2.2 million better than prior year. State Street Aid revenues have exceeded expenditures by approximately $771,000. And stormwater expenses are a little bit over by about $66,000. And in our water sewer fund, revenues have exceeded expenditures by approximately $1.9 million. The second page is balances in our various bank accounts. And the third page is a comparison to prior year. Revenues are up about $2 million. Expenses are up about 3.9. In the water sewer fund, revenues are down a little bit. We had last year, we had that billing catch up, so we had some timing issues there. Expenses are up about $823,000, and tap fees are up about $87,000. Any questions?
Ma'am, thank you.
Thank you.
Now moving on to the water treatment plant. Mr. Danny Campbell.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board. First, I'd like to apologize for hogging all the vests, so I'm sorry for that. I trust that you guys have all had the opportunity to read our monthly report. And do you have any questions?
Can you walk us through the customer service complaints?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had 8 customer complaints this month. 2 of them were for low pressure. 1 complaint was for no pressure. 3 were for discolored water. 1 complaint was for black specks in their water, and 1 was for sand that they had in their washing machine and in their kitchen sink. And so as we do with all of our customer complaints, we do go out to the homes, try to assess the situations. Typically with the low pressure, their pressure reducing valves is what we have trouble with. The no pressure was due to a leak in their area. The sand in the washing machine was an issue that has been going on for a couple months, the residents said. It had gotten worse. I believe there was a leak in their area when we received the phone call, but we did suggest that they contact a plumber, which she was planning to do in coordinates with her landlord to be able to do that. We went out there. It was only in their cold water. So it was interesting that it wasn't in the full water supply, but just in their cold water supply that she was having issues with.
And then y'all been working on unilateral flushing,
Yes,
and there's been some people they've got concerns with any of the as far as that happening in their area, the residual side effects from the immediate flush, what do they need to look for, and who do they need to contact?
That's typically what our discolored water comes into effect around those. That's what our customer complaints revolved around this month, and they'll probably continue to. So you will want to look out for the discolored water, maybe sediment of some sort if we're in your area. Ann's been really good about posting which streets we are targeting during the month, or during each week, I should say. So those are the sort of things that you're going to want to look for. And if you have any customer complaints or issues with your water, please contact the water plant at 615-793-6536, option 2.
Last question from me is, do we have an ETA on intake pump number 3 yet?
So that just happened on Friday the 1st is when we recognize that. We do have a meeting with Wascon tomorrow. They're going to come out and assess the situation, see what is going on with that pump, so we can get that back in service as soon as possible.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to old business, second reading ordinance 2022-15, an ordinance to amend the City of Laverne fee schedule regarding rates for wrecker services. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve from Alderman Coates. Is there a second?
I second.
Second from Alderwoman Honeycutt. Alderman Waldron?
Aye.
Alderwoman Honeycutt?
Aye.
Alderman Coates?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have the consent agenda. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve from Alderwoman Honeycutt. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Alderman Coates. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to new business. First reading ordinance 2022-16, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2021-2022 State Street Aid Fund budget. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve from Vice Mayor No. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Coates. Alderman Waldron?
Aye.
Alderwoman Honeycutt?
Aye.
Alderman Coates?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No.
Aye.
Motion passes. First reading ordinance 2022-17, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2021-2022 Stormwater Fund budget. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion to
approve.
Have a motion to approve from Vice Mayor No. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Alderman Coates. Alderman Waldron?
Aye.
Alderwoman Honeycutt?
Aye.
Alderman Coates?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No.
Aye.
Motion passes. Let's see here. First reading ordinance 2022-18, an ordinance to amend the City of Laverne zoning ordinance by changing the official zoning map for tax map 28, parcel 10 and 11, consisting of approximately 4.3 acres, located at 237 and 245 Cheney Boulevard, from an agricultural zoning district to a high-density residential zoning district. This received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on May 31st. This application has been withdrawn, so there is no action to be taken from the board. We just needed a paper trail for it. Moving on to Resolution 2022-17, a resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract for the purchase of real property for the future fire department training center. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve from Alderwoman Honeycutt. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Alderman Coates. Alderman Waldron?
Aye.
Alderwoman Honeycutt?
Aye.
Alderman Coates?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No.
Aye.
Motion or resolution passes. Number 10, motion to terminate the league facility user agreement with Tennessee Strikers softball and baseball. I'm going to make a motion to suspend the rules to allow a little bit of conversation with the owner, staff, and board members. Is there a second?
I second.
Second from Vice Mayor No. Alderman Waldron.
Aye.
Alderman Honeycutt.
Aye.
Alderman Coates.
Aye.
Vice Mayor No.
Aye.
That motion passes. The rules are suspended. I would like to bring Michael up. And Michael, if you've got a member of the board that can come up. And then David, if you could come up as well, or Andrew, either one. I know at the workshop, didn't even know David, or I didn't know Michael was even here. So, Michael, I'll let you come up first. Y'all want to speak with the board.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Board. My name is Felicia Mays. I am a resident here in Laverne, but I also, over the last few months, have been volunteering as the new commissioner or rec league president. So we've tried to build back up what slipped through the cracks from COVID, what, maybe former management or, volunteers just didn't have in place. And I don't know what else I really could say that hasn't been said already tonight from, showing the support of our parents, our players, the coaches in the league, the people that are fighting to keep this here in our city, because we want to have something fun and something great and something exciting for our kids to look forward to. So I'm here to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Does anyone from the board have any questions for Felicia?
Felicia, I've heard some rumors, let's get that straight, rumors, that there's some kind of conflict because you used to work for the city and maybe somebody doesn't like you, and I just want you to know that that is absolutely 100% false. Has nothing whatsoever to do. As a matter of fact, I think I was probably one of the first ones that contacted you.
You did.
On social media.
You did.
And told you welcome and wished you the best of luck.
You did.
So whoever started that rumor, I'm here to squash it.
That's okay. My feelings aren't important. It's what's best for these kids.
I think it is. I think it is because this is a thorn. It's been a thorn in the park and rec side. It's been a thorn in the city side, because what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with taxpayers' money. Now, although there may be 200 children that we love and adore and we want them to play ball, absolutely, we still have 40-some thousand people that we have to try and justify. And you all seen the pictures last week. You all seen what was said. And I've actually wrote out a bunch of questions that I'm going to ask David or Andrew here in a few minutes, and you all can listen to the answers of some of these. I think it's very important that everybody knows this has got absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the children as far as that portion of it, okay? Absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, and you all are more than welcome to speak with David and Andrew, they have, depending on how this board votes, they have a plan. So we've got things that, depending on which way it goes. But this has been a real stickler. There's been a lot of thought process going into it, a lot of documentation. So in a few minutes, when you hear the questions that I've got for David, I think you'll understand more about what's been going on. But there again, you personally took the bull by the horn. You did a good job.
Thank you.
The parents, the coaches, the players, they appreciate it. But you're just one person.
That's right.
You're just one person.
I am. And we have a board set in place for each individual area that needs focused on. So everyone that, coming in and trying to build the trust of the community to say, hey, we're still here. We want you to give us another chance. And it did take a little bit of time, but we have all that hopefully going in the absolute right direction.
I think in this particular case, David and his crew have asked, in fact begged, for the last 3 years to get a board in place.
I can't speak on that. I only came in at the beginning of this year.
But you got to understand this is not an isolated incident. And until all of this came to light, it's almost like the strikers were not interested. And I said the strikers. I didn't say you. I didn't say the coaches. I didn't say the parents.
Right.
I said the strikers. Because probably 18 months ago, David, I don't know the exact date, I tried to have a meeting with them to find out what was going on. I personally was treated extremely disrespectful to where David canceled the meeting. And when you throw all that together with what some of the questions I'm going to ask David here in a few minutes.
I understand, but someone else spoke on it, and it's the same thing. It was, giving it a second chance. What's happened in the past, we aim to stop all of that, any kind of reoccurring problems with, whatever you can go down the list, or if it's a new problem being brought to us, being extremely, just efficiently taking care of whatever issue that we can with our means. All of us are volunteers. Every single one of us up here are volunteers. We're not getting paid for this. They have full-time jobs. They do all these other things. And to still have the amount of support that we have brought back to the community in the last few months are things that, I guess you could be as mad as you want in the past, but if we want to do something to make it better and you have the issues, I think that, having a chance to go through them and talk about them and seeing what we could do to make things better would be appreciated.
So you keep talking about a second chance. A second chance is great if this was an isolated incident, but this has been going on for 3 years.
Right, well, like I
So
said, we have
we've had
me
this-
and the board, so that's, we pulled those together, giving us a chance to take care of the issues that you've had in the past, keeping the people that we've already built that trust and respect for their kids, that they know they could run up to me and give me a hug anytime, or they know that one of their coaches would listen to them no matter what, just giving that a chance to prosper instead of just shutting it down based upon the issues in the past. That's what we're here to fight for. We're here to give all these people that want to be a part of this team and community and league a chance to rectify those issues, to move forward, and to just keep building what we have in place right now. I know I've seen Mayor Cole. I know I've seen Vice Mayor No out there multiple occasions. You guys, if the feel of what you guys seen out there wasn't exciting, it is for us. But that's what we're going to keep doing. So if we have those chances with the people that we put into place like you recommended, then I hope that you would vote that way.
So let me ask, and I'm going to ask Michael to come up and speak on this, because we heard last week, we went through a lot of issues from Parks and Rec that needed to be addressed. So we spoke on Friday afternoon with
Yes, sir.
a couple of the parents as well. So, but speak to that as far as what's going on, what you've done, what has been going on, and kind of explain that to the board.
So I know a lot of pictures got shown, trash, concessions, things of that nature, fields. One of the pictures was all the way from November. What they didn't speak on is that I actually scheduled a meeting with them to discuss it with them, pretty much to let them know that we had new staff in place. Not an excuse, but just to let them know that we had new staff and we're training them. To my knowledge, from that point on, it has not looked as bad as that. I'm not going to say that they've been perfect every instance on concessions or trash, but it has gotten 100 times better than what you saw in those pictures. I can tell you as of 3 weeks ago now, from the last photos of the trash that was left in front of the dumpster, and I emailed this response to David, that the staff on hand that day thought that one of the dumpsters was for recycling. It's an honest mistake. I'm pretty sure we all make mistakes. As soon as he sent the email, I called my staff and told them to throw it in the dumpster immediately, and I responded, I believe within an hour, with photos, and that's what they did. Now, for you guys to understand, we had a whole nother day of tournament to go, and we had nowhere to put trash. So there's battles that we face that don't get 100% projected to you guys. As far as fields, we were in the process in the beginning of the year. Everyone in this room, I'm pretty sure, is going to agree with me that we had a numerous amount of rain about the time we could have gotten on the fields and managed them. We were doing as much as we could, and even up until opening night, we showed up to mow the fields, line the fields, even continue edging some of the fields, and the Parks and Rec department was mowing. We, with no communication to us that that's what they were going to do, and I spoke with Andrew and talked to him about the weather, and he agreed with me that they've had the same issues in the Parks Department about getting stuff done in their areas as well. And since that date, after opening day, I believe it was 2 or 3 weeks, they took it upon themselves. And I have photos I brought with me with timestamps. When we were showing up out there to do the work and maintain fields, and they were doing it every day. So the issue I have with that is we were never communicated to that they were going to take that upon themselves, nor did we get the opportunity to continue to do what we were supposed to be doing as far as field maintenance. Now, after those 2 or 3 weeks, and we got an email from David addressing a bunch of issues in the contract, they did stop working out there to our knowledge. We didn't see them out there anymore.
Okay. And any steps that you've taken as far as to address the photos that we all saw last week?
Again, like that, we continue to have, I can tell you, we had 10 people working that weekend, and that was just, as far as the trash in front of the dumpster, it was an honest mistake that they thought one was for recycling. It was a new person handling trash that weekend.
Okay. Anything with the concession stands?
No, they continue to, and I continue to have meetings with them week after week about doing a due diligence of cleaning, and I get on to them constantly. It can, to my expectations are probably higher than you guys.
And who is they?
I have, again, sometimes it's students in high school. Right now, the 3 people I have up there most are 3 girls that are at Trevecca University.
So you understand that when the concession stands and bathrooms and all that stuff is trash, we understand you have people working, but the bottom line is it falls underneath Tennessee strikers. So when something over here goes awry, it looks bad on Tennessee strikers.
We understand.
Regardless of who does it. So that, I think that's what David's trying to, David and Andrew is trying to get across to everybody, that it's got nothing to do with parents and children and volunteers. It's the things that were in the contract that you presented to us, to David, to us, we approved, that were not being followed. And according to the documentation, they have tried to communicate, and there's been very little communication. And but we'll hear from them in a few minutes. But I think it's fair that you can come up here and state your business.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a quick question. You said that you have a board together now, correct?
That's correct.
When was that board formed?
We had already had in place options to volunteer when signing up on our website for board members.
Okay.
We finalized it after I could say Chris is over scheduling, Christina is over concessions, I would be the commissioner. We also have our community outreach, which is Liz, and our sponsorship board, or a sponsorship representative, which is Emily. So these, and Cody is over fields and equipment. So all these people had expressed interest all through the season to me, as well as other people about just wanting to become, excited about the league, wanting to become more involved, wanting to see what they could do to help, because I did take a lot of it on. So all these people came to me, and when stated pretty much last week, we had it already in place, but to finalize it, brought it all together, and, came in here and pretty much, I guess, took Steve's advice that we needed to have that.
Okay, so it hadn't been in place the whole
No.
season, just up until last week?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Davis, we had a phone conversation on Friday,
Yes, sir.
which we went through the issues. I think we ended up discussing was the idea would be that you to come up with a plan for rectifying these issues, correct?
That's correct, sir.
So you want to enlighten the board as to what your plan is?
So I know you guys should actually have an email, whether you've pulled it up or not yet. It was emailed, I think, right before the meeting started as a proposal of what we have planned right now with putting the board in place. Again, like on some of them spoke, doing concession training with people. I have people in place to do more field work if needed. Now, we also have in there that if allowed, we may even propose to amend the contract and take some of those issues away that we didn't deal with before. I'd also like to at least explain why we even presented that contract. And I can do that now, or I can continue going. It's up to you guys.
No, please do.
Why I did that? Okay. So at the end of my first year, the last 2 tournaments that we were supposed to have at the park, Parks and Rec came to me and asked me to cancel one 2 days prior due to they didn't have enough staff to work to handle trash. I offered to do it, that we would handle it. They left trailers, and we handled it for that weekend. The very last tournament that we had of that season, I was told that we should have been doing it the entire time, which was not in our contract. And so the following year, this would be right before COVID, we had 2 tournaments lined up. Actually, we had more than that for the whole year. One of them, the first one, was for Laverne High School and was canceled and moved to another park in the area very early on due to rain. I'm not saying it didn't rain. I just felt it was called super early. And the following weekend or 2 weeks later, it happened again. And then COVID happened. So we talked and discussed that maybe it would be in our best interest to take on some of these things, and it would also alleviate the city from having to deal with some of these things. We thought it was the best interest for both parties, so that's when we brought the contract to the city. And that's when you guys approved it the following year.
Reading your email that we just received,
Yes, sir.
forming a board has been discussed. Can you tell me the exact numbers of the board members? You mentioned name, but I didn't get the quantity of how many there were. How many people will there be on the board?
Six board members.
Okay. And at the start of the season, how many board members did you have?
Starting this season?
Yes.
3.
Who were the 3 board members?
Myself, my wife, and Felicia.
And percentage-wise, how much time during the season up there I seen Felicia a lot, did you and your wife spend up there helping her?
My job was field maintenance this year.
I'm talking about like on game nights and up there.
Well, I was spending 6 to 8 hours a day, 3 to 4 days a week up at the park, getting fields ready.
Anyone have any other questions for Michael? Okay, thank you.
I'll tell you,
David?
Michael, if you want to, you and Felicia stay right there, and we're gonna talk to
Okay.
ask David if you have any, rebuttal?
Okay.
Can we call them back up?
Yes, yes. So right now, the rules are suspended.
Okay.
Okay,
For the
thank
meeting,
you.
so to allow for this dialogue.
Thank you, Board. Let me start by saying, I think there may be a misconception here that the Park and Rec Department is against a rec league. We are not. I don't know a Park and Rec Department in this country that survives without a rec league. We are not against a rec league. Unfortunately, our contract is not with the rec league. It is with the Tennessee Strikers to administer the rec league. That is where our issues have been. Some of the stuff he said, yes, the trailer is true. You know, we can go through here and we can say, this is not right. He said this, he said that. What I presented to you guys is black and white. There's no gray area there. With that being said, I'll be more than happy to answer any question you have. Before we do that, let me tell you guys that the league has changed hands 7 times since 2013. 7 times since 2013. That's almost one time every 1.5 years. So when we come before you with this request, we're not taking that lightly. We know what we are asking you because Andrew and I have been involved in it since 2013. So we have seen every organization come in. I will tell you the ones that succeeded was LBSA, and when the city took it over after 3 other tries in between there, we were kind of successful there. The 2 options, the 2 things they had in common were both of them had operating boards from the get-go. When you go into that complex after a tournament, this is not a slam on the rec league because the rec league has nothing to do with the tournament. But unfortunately, that's what we have to deal with. So that's not a black eye on the rec league. That's a black eye on the Strikers. When it comes to that, that's a black eye on us. And then that's a black eye on you guys. Did we start maintaining the fields? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, we did. And, you know, if I had to go back and do it over, we would probably start it earlier. Because when our rec league kids are up there practicing on grass, it's almost knee-high. Something has to be done about that. That's why you put us where we're at to take care of that, to try to not get those calls to you guys. I understand about the rain. I understand. We deal with it every single day. It was a wet spring. The issue there is our guys are on staff. He may not have somebody available every single day that can come out at any time. He may have somebody scheduled for the afternoon. The morning is great and sunny. 1 o'clock, it pours down rain. You've wasted a day cutting grass where our guys can take care of it. So we're not going to apologize for that. We're going to take care of the fields. That's city property. We're going to maintain it to the best of our ability. When we brought that before you guys at the workshop, I thought over it over the weekend. I wouldn't change one thing about it. That's still going to be the park's recommendation. We have probably 10 or 12 people up there that if took a poll, they would probably all say the same thing. Do we think this organization is the best to move this rec league forward? And we do not. I didn't think that when I proposed this. I don't think it now. Another thing that, you know, I've heard parents come up here, and that's what we need is parent involvement. This is not a knock on the rec league, but you guys know, anybody involved with it, your parents, your coaches, and your volunteers, they're going to go where they're needed. No matter who's administering the league, they're going to go where they're needed and where their kids are. By no means are we saying we are against a rec league. We will not be a successful park and rec department if we do not have a thriving rec league. With that being said, you know, we hate to put you guys in this position because you guys are in the position as whichever way you vote, well, we're against the children. But that's not the case. We are not against the children. You guys are not against the children. We're proposing what we think is best. If you guys decide that terminating this contract you don't feel like is in the best interest of the city of Laverne, then we're going to move forward. But if you do decide to terminate it, which we highly recommend, unfortunately, there will not be a fall league. Say we decide to move forward with this league. Come fall, you're having issues. The numbers are down. We're not where we think we want to be. Then do we bring it back before you and say, let's terminate it now? Because if you terminate it after the fall league, you won't have a spring league. You can't terminate this thing at the end of November and get get an organization in place to have an operating spring league. So our recommendation to you guys is what we presented before. We're standing to that. Like I said, the choice is totally up to y'all. It's your vote. But like I said, to me, personally, it was a no-brainer. What we presented is black and white. You know, you've got to have the staff to operate. I don't think even if you're having summer tournaments and you're a rec league team or you're a rec league and you're trying to run your concessions on a summer tournament in between fall and spring season, I still don't think you're going to get the help. It takes a minimum of, I would say, 3 people, minimum 3 people in each concession stand at any given time. So when you're opening up a concession stand, you've got an 8 o'clock game, you're probably open by 7:30. Believe it or not, you are selling hamburgers at 7:30 in the morning. It takes a minimum of 3 people. So if you're operating from 7 to 11 at night, you can't have those same 3 people in there all day long. So it's going to take a minimum of 9 people. You've got to rotate them and out. We've done it. We've done it as a department. We know how it is.
Any questions or comments for David?
Yeah, I want to ask David some questions, and these may sound a little rhetorical, but you made a comment about presenting this to us as, you know, sitting on this board's tough. It's tough decisions. You make some people mad, you make people okay, and that's what we volunteered for. We ran for office. So I'll ask some questions, and in the contract that they presented, they had said that they was going to have 16 regular season games. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Did they have 16?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Did the Parks Department, did it ever offer assistance in advertising and even offered to put the signs up for sign-ups and stuff?
Yes, we did. That was in a meeting, of course. Anything I tell you, I have no documentation to back it up at this point. That was in a meeting. Andrew said, we'll help you guys to get the word out. You get your signs, your banners or whatever, and our guys will go around town and put those up. And like I say, that was in a meeting, so I have no documentation over that.
In the beginning, did the parks suggest that they form a board to run that league?
Yes, sir.
And they, except for a couple of people helping, they never really had a board, correct?
I think from what was stated here tonight, they formed one after the workshop on Thursday.
Have you ever, has the Parks Department ever expressed to the strikers the concerns of the conditions of the playing fields and how you could rectify that?
Yes. And like I said, this was all in a personal this was in a face-to-face meeting, so we have no documentation of this. You know, Andrew went over specifically cutting the edges, cutting the lips. That grass between the infield and the outfield, that edge right there is referred to as the baseball lip. Went over doing that, maintaining the fields. To my knowledge, that has not been done. And like I said, after we saw the way the grass looked in early April, yes, our guys did take it upon themselves to start maintaining those fields.
Was there?
And I hate to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Let me say this also, when we started maintaining those fields, I don't personally think it was our place to communicate to them that we were gonna start maintaining those fields. That's city property. It wasn't being abided by in the contract, so that started to look bad on us. If we're getting calls, why is the field in this shape? Ultimately, that comes down on me. So yeah, I made that call. Andrew and I got together. We started maintaining the fields of that day.
Was a schedule, and the reason I'm asking this is because I know I didn't get one. Was a schedule ever provided to you guys about the rec league games and opening ceremonies and things like that?
No, sir. The only schedule we have seen is on Facebook. We had nothing in writing. The opening ceremonies, you guys have it in your packet. We had heard rumblings of when it was gonna be. I think that date had been postponed several times. But the night they planned it, you guys got the invitation right before lunchtime.
I remember that. My next question was about pertaining to trash concession stands. I think that's been covered pretty.
Yeah, it has been covered, and like I said, the June 19th was not an isolated incident. It had happened twice before. I don't know if those pictures were included in your packet, but I'm sure we do have those pictures that we could provide somewhere. So it was not an isolated incident.
Now, these next two questions are probably not a big deal, but I feel like it is. Are the facilities always locked up after every use? The concession stands, the bathrooms, are the lights turned out? Things to make everything secure.
No, I think some of that slips through the cracks also. You brought up the ball field lights, and I would have to go back through these emails, but I think in 2 of those emails at least, it references ball field lights when the fields aren't in use. We need the lights to stay off. We left here Thursday night, ball field lights were on. As far as I know,
Because when
nobody
the
was
ball
wearing them.
field lights are on, city taxpayers are paying for that electric.
They do, and what the average person who's not involved in it does not realize is to maintain those ball field lights, just the service on those and the bulbs runs our department anywhere from $10,000 to $14,000 to $15,000 a year. We got to get a crane out here. You know, the labor on a crane's $300 an hour. They're sending 2 men. The ballast, the bulbs, the ballast for those things are $250 a piece. The bulbs are probably $60. So we prefer to conserve energy. Those aren't LED lights.
And my last question, it was brought up in the workshop, and I'm a little bit disturbed about that. And we're going to give Mr. Davis an opportunity. What's going on with the city getting its money from the strikers?
He did come in, to the best of my knowledge, Friday afternoon. I was out of the office on Friday and paid that afternoon. Was it the $1,200? I think it was $1,000. We probably originally said $1,200 here at the workshop. We were including the Friday that the fields were in use. All the fields were in, 5 fields were in use.
Wednesday morning, afternoon.
So we consider any time our fields are in use for not rec ball or at night for practice, they're in use. I guess if it's not technically called a tournament and we want to call it something else, then we're not on the hook for that. In my eyes, if you're using the field, you're using our facilities during the day, all day long, to me, that's really no different than a tournament. But that's just my opinion.
Does anyone else have any questions for David?
The only thing I got to say, my 2 kids played ball in Laverne, and I stayed down there over 10 years. The issue that y'all bring up is nothing new. My kids started in the early 80s. It was issues there all through, and I've been on the council for 18 years. This ain't nothing new. What I would really like to see, it's a lot of things been throughout. It's not vote on it tonight. Is put it on next month and we have more time to check into it. 'Cause a lot of the stuff that's brought up with you or the league is stuff that I've heard for 18 years. I like to see more in-depth study on it myself.
Well, if that's the direction you guys want to go in, I mean, we'll roll with it, but with all due respect, Alderman Waldron, I've been up there in that Parks Department over 12 years, and I have never, in my whole tenure there, seen the facilities in the shape that they're in now. And I mean, I'm kind of at a loss for words to how to address that, because in my mind, it's totally unexcusable. So if we put it off another month, which we can do if that's what you guys vote to do, our stance as a Parks Department is not going to change. What I gave to you guys is black and white. There's no gray area there. That's black and white. However you guys want to move forward, that's up to this board. We're going to do whatever we can, but I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't have no crystal ball. I do not see this organization being successful running a rec league.
I'm assuming that your guys that work under you spend a lot of time trying to correct something that they don't need to be doing, and it keeps them from doing something else. Is that kind of?
Well, I mean, we've always got something to do, so it's kind of like you come in and what's going to get neglected today. When they proposed that contract 2 years ago, it was very attractive to us because it took everything inside the fence, that took it off of us. So on any tournament day, weekend, we have to staff that. If our department was going to staff that, we would staff that with a minimum of 5 or 6 of our men, just because if the rain comes in, it takes that many to get the fields back playable. So when they came in and proposed that, yeah, it was very attractive to us. We're like, yeah, this is going to help our overtime. It's going to help our product on the field. We're not going to have to babysit these things. Many times years ago, we would come in at 4:30 in the morning. It'd be pouring down rain. You got 5 or 6 people sitting around till 9 o'clock that can't hit a lick because there's nothing to do. But you can't afford to let them go home, because as soon as the rain quits, you got to start field prepping.
Anything else for David? Thank you, David.
Mr. Davis? Would you like to comment about what you just heard?
I think for us, I mean, I really don't want to keep going back and forth with Parks and Rec. I feel like my relationship with Parks and Rec used to be better before who's in charge now. That's my opinion. I feel like the communication was a lot better then too. I feel like it can be resolved, and I feel like it can be fixed. We can all be professionals. We just want an opportunity to rectify, because anytime we've been notified of anything, we work our butts off to make sure it gets resolved. We don't not listen to it and ignore it. I think that's pretty apparent, or he would have shown you pictures, especially with the concession stand from November. He would have shown you 20 other pictures throughout the year. I mean, perfect example this weekend. I mean, whoever was working Saturday and Sunday or on the doing bathrooms, they literally walked in and walked out. And I can speak on that because they didn't even leave a trash bag for us to reuse. And that's not on us. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they're talking about that we didn't refill bathrooms with toilet paper. Well, we didn't get left enough, so we had to go purchase any. I'm not going back to Parks and Rec with a receipt asking for the money. I think the other thing, speaking on field maintenance, I mean, if we show up at 1 o'clock, I mean, there's no guideline of what time we got to be out there to work on fields. I mean, that's just not in the contract. There's no time frames. There's no hours, how many. Some of us, I mean, yeah, sometimes we can get out there at 7 because when it's hot like it is right now, we want to get out there early and get done. Some days, because we all work and it's all volunteers, we can't get out there till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But I feel like those are conversations that could be had if just, a simple phone call, email, saying, hey, let's sit down, let's rectify these things together. One thing I don't want anyone to forget is that, everybody keeps talking about 3 years. Well, we had COVID for a full year. I've really only had 2. And I think what Felicia's done from the volunteer staff we had previously, and not to go into details, but, you know, things went bad, and then she flipped it around, in a heartbeat. And I think with the things that she's been working on, and I know that you guys just got the proposal for the board tonight, but we've been speaking on it for a month and a half, 2 months now, about who she's got that she's putting on the board. I think that's all we're asking for is an opportunity. Is a month long enough? I don't know. You know, we would love to see one more season, and then let's make a decision, you know.
So do you feel like our Park and Rec department has not communicated with you?
I feel like there's certain situations that I felt like we used to communicate. I can speak on, Andrew and I used to talk on the phone, text messages, whatever, and that's completely disappeared this year.
What do you think caused it to disappear?
I don't know. I can't speak on that. That's just opinionated on my end.
If you had to do a 50-50 type scale, would you say that the strikers are more focused towards travel ball, or are they focused more towards rec ball?
It's 90-10 rec. And I'm going to tell you why. I have one team left in the Strikers organization, and as of here in about 2 weeks, I have none. All of my travel teams that I ever had are in another name completely.
So if we were to, because as the attorney said, the contract is definitely in jeopardy, if we were to say another month, focus strictly on rec ball and no tournaments, you'd be perfectly fine with that.
If that's what I need to do, that's fine.
But you'd be fine with it.
That's fine.
Does anyone have any other questions? Mr. Davis? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
At this point, I'm going to go back to regular rules of order.
Can I ask one more question, David?
Yes.
And maybe Bruce, if you're listening. If the contract was canceled now, there wouldn't be an issue whatsoever in getting the RFP out and getting it going for the spring, summer. But if we were to vote and defer for a month, and then if it's not right, and we can come up with a different contract, and would we still have time for an RFP for spring and fall? Because I know how them things get dragged out.
I think it'd probably doable. I don't know how close you'd be pushing the envelope, because of course anybody that when it goes out for an RFP, we'd want any organization to put in for it to come before the Parks Board. We want the Parks Board to make that recommendation to bring to this board. I think whatever you're gonna do, we've got to keep in mind that if we don't have somebody in place to run a spring league and they're not taking sign-ups by January, then you might as well not have a spring league. So if that's gonna pushing that out, if you're gonna continue forward with this organization for the fall league, then our suggestion as a park department would be you might as well ride with them until their contract's done. Because if you get through the fall league with them and you decide, or we decide, how do we bring that back before you guys? Because then it's gonna be like Parks and Rec are just waiting for them to stump their toe, and then do we bring every little item back before you guys? We don't wanna be those people. But if you move forward with them through the fall league, and that's what y'all want to do, we're going to make the best of it. We're going to make it work, because we're not a park and rec department without a functioning youth rec league. At the end of the fall, if you guys are getting notifications from other people, you're not going to have time at the end of the fall to get another organization here for the spring. So if we move forward with them in the fall, then our recommendation would be we might as well continue in the spring, because at that time you're handcuffed. You're scrambling. No organization is going to be able to step in here and get their stuff in order in time to get signups done. Most people are signing up in January. Teams are chosen 1st of March, and they're practicing mid-March. Generally open season end of March, 1st 1st of April.
You agree with that?
Yes, sir, Vice Mayor. Obviously, the more time that is available to do an RFP, the better. You know, if you start an RFP process now, you know, the more time, the better. If you wait until November, I agree with David. I don't think you'd have enough time to get a good proposal in place and have everything ready by the spring ball league.
So, thank you, David. So, a lot of people, this is my opinion, a lot of people think we sit up here and make the decisions and run this city. Actually, we don't. We have to listen to our administrators, our department heads. We have to take recommendations from them. That's the way it has to be. It's, even though we get the final vote, our department heads and City Hall run this city. So,
with that, we're going to go back into regular rules. And at this point, we have the item which is motion to terminate the league facility user agreement with Tennessee Strikers softball and baseball. At this point, need a motion to approve or deny.
I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Vice Mayor No. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Alderman Coates. Is there any discussion among the board? Alderman Waldron.
No.
Alderwoman Honeycutt.
Aye.
Alderman Coates.
Aye.
Vice Mayor No.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to number 11. Motion to approve a letter of intent from Trinidad Benham Corporation to purchase the Public Works facility located at 148 International Boulevard. Need a motion to approve or deny.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve from Vice Mayor No. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Coates. Do want to just bring this up, so just to go back over it, this is for the property at 148 International Boulevard. The appraised property came back at $1.3 million. The negotiated price with the company is for $1.5 million, as well as a leaseback period and closing costs to be paid for by the buyer. Is there any questions about this?
Only question I got is, at least this time we're selling property that's appraised value or more, and that's I'm comfortable with that.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. With that, we have a motion to approve in a second. Alderman Waldron.
Aye.
Alderwoman Honeycutt.
Aye.
Alderman Coates.
Aye.
Vice Mayor No.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to approve or remove board and committee members. We have the Economic Development Advisory Committee. We have one applicant, which is Justin Greer, and I will appoint him to that board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. At this point, we have mayor and alderman comments. Alderwoman Honeycutt.
I just want to thank our police and fire departments and our city employees as usual, and that's all I got.
Alderman Coates.
It was a great July the 4th, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and Parks and Rec did a great job. Thank you very much.
Alderman Waldron.
Apologize for being late for the meeting. My nap time is at 3 o'clock, and I forgot to set my alarm. That being said, make sure your pets and your has fresh water and shade. We get in the dog days of summer. And check on the elderly. And I've got a few calls this week asked, why don't we have the city administrator be in charge of the hiring and firing? And I tried to explain to a few people that I have brought it up numerous times and even tried to put it on the agenda, and it was not put on the agenda. So I have done my part in that deal there. So that being said, I've done my part.
Vice Mayor No.
I got nothing.
Well, again, I want to thank our Parks and Recreation Department. They did an absolutely fabulous job with Independence Day. Want to remind everybody to come out for Howl at the Moon. Should be a fun time, and I look forward to, in August, having a carnival. With that said, call this meeting adjourned.